The purpose of this video is to review both the structure of a scholarly and specifically scientific journal article, and then also to share with you another video about how to read them in an efficient manner. So, the anatomy of a scholarly article. Most scholarly scientific journal articles will follow the same basic format. And by becoming familiar with that format, you can focus on what order to read it in and where to best use your energy and attention. So the first thing to pay attention to is going to be the title of the journal that it comes from, as well as the title of the article itself. The title of the journal, in this case, the American Journal of Emergency Medicine, will let you know what the author's or the scientist's particular discipline or area of expertise is, and the title will give you a preview of what it's about. Operation Care, a pilot case management intervention for frequent emergency medical system users. Now, there are some key words in this title that are worth thinking about. A pilot case management intervention. Pilot case and intervention tell you, one, that they've done a case study, a kind of practice that they hope to repeat over time, and an intervention says that it's getting in the middle of something or that it's solving a problem of some kind. And so by looking at the keywords in that title, even before we know what the article is or what it's about, we know a little bit about what it's going to do. The next part of the article that you want to be mindful of is what's called the abstract. The abstract is a brief, non-evaluative summary of what the article is about. It's going to go over the objective or the purpose of the article, the methods, the results, and the conclusions that it comes to. When you're in the research databases trying to find which articles you should take and preview or scan, reviewing the abstract will give you a really clear sense of what that article is about, and reviewing the abstract will also give you a sense of the keywords or the key ideas that you want to look to when you go into the actual text. The next part of the article that you want to pay attention to is going to be the introduction. The introduction is going to set up the problem or the issue that the scientist or the researchers are intervening on. So obviously in this case, the problem or issue is frequent emergency medical system users. And so what this section will do is tell us why that's a problem. Other things that will happen in the introduction, it's going to tell us about what other sources or what other studies have been reviewed in putting this together. And it's going to start to tell us how the study was designed. The introduction will give you an overview of what they're going to be saying, who has already said something about the topic, and what their study is going to look like. The methods section of the paper is where they write out exactly how they perform their particular study. It's important to know that in the methods section, the researchers are writing about their study in a way that other researchers could repeat that effort or that study and get their own results. And so the language in this section is going to be very neutral. They're not going to be doing a significant amount of interpretation. They're just going to tell you who the participants were, whether that's individuals or a particular organization, what materials or methods they used, and then also what procedures they followed. The idea being that any researcher could come in and test the effectiveness of this intervention. But again, this section is going to be largely without commentary, and it's just going to focus on how the study was completed. The next portion of the scholarly article is going to be the results section. Just like the methods section, this information is going to be delivered relatively objectively. That is to say, it's once again fairly free of commentary. Instead, it's going to focus on summarizing the findings. It's going to give you the data. This section will often be supported with charts and figures even if you don't read the results section word for word, it can be a good idea to focus on unpacking and getting a sense of what the charts and figures say. The final portion of the written part of the article itself is going to be the discussion portion. That's where the researchers, scientists, and writers of the article are going to evaluate and interpret their results. So rather than just giving you the data, they're going to give you the data they found and say, so what? Here's why this data matters. And the final piece of the scholarly article that you want to be aware of is the references section. The references section tells you what other articles or sources they consulted when preparing to do this study and or write this article. When you're doing a larger research project, you often want to mine the references section for other sources you think you will need. In the introduction, you're going to get a survey of what the conversation is surrounding the topic that you're reading about. And if you're going to be doing more research on that topic, then you can go to the references and track down the sources that these authors have used. And now, I just want to switch to a very helpful video from another author on how to go about actually reading these things. But I couldn't actually embed it in this video, so go ahead and watch the next file that's posted on our Moodle page.